Here we go, Wild fans, getting ready for the game number 4 from St. Paul. Wild taking on the Colorado Avalanche. A huge game coming up here. Puck drops at 7:10 from Grand Casino Arena. I'm Kevin Falness, and as we get you ready for the drop of the puck, special guest joining us in the Bob Kurtz Radio Center, my good friend Brandon Mileksi. Brandon,
Hi,
good
Kevin.
evening.
Good evening. Great to see you.
Man, we do this every week for KFAN Wild Weekly. Now we get to walk up to a pivotal game 4 here tonight for the Minnesota Wild. Before we look ahead, let's look behind. What a weekend it was for the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
Down 2-0 in the series, and they fire a bullet in Game 3. What a fun one that was.
Yeah, it's always nice to not only get a win, but just convincing win, right? To play the same style we saw you play in the Dallas Stars series, because we hadn't. I think that was so weird about the first 2 games. Is it's not like you were playing really well and you ran into a hot goalie or you got some puck luck going against it. Like they just look like a completely different team.
Yeah.
And I understood, hey, we're playing a good team in Colorado, and maybe they have something to do with it, but they just did not play to their identity in the first 2 games, and it was good to see that identity back. And with that identity, they can play with the Colorado Avalanche.
And we talked about what they needed to do in Game 3, and they did it. Like you said, playing to their identity. To me, that means a lot of they got to have that physical aspect, and they had that in spades, out hitting the Avalanche 39-25 in the contest. The Foligno brothers alone combined for 15 hits. So you want to see them lay the lumber. They certainly did that in game number 3.
Yeah, and I think you could tell as that game went along, the Colorado defensemen were starting to get a little gun shy, right? They'd get the puck in their own corner, and they knew they were going to get hit. And all it takes is, when you are laying the lumber like they were, like you said, and the Folignos were just finishing every single check that night, Trenyan, McCarron, even the Boldies and the Kaprizovs of the world were finishing checks. They start to feel it, and then when they anticipate they're going to hit, they start throwing that puck a little bit earlier than they want to. And it just takes a half second of throwing that puck quicker, and now the puck's not on target. You turn the puck over, and I just thought the Wild we're getting Colorado to lose the puck in their own zone, and frankly, with the speed Colorado has, that's where you want to stop them. You want to stop them in their own zone, because once they get going through to the blue line and through the neutral zone, they're a hard team to stop because of their skating ability. Yeah. So the Wild, I thought, did a great job of, we are going to slow them down before they get going, which is in the offensive zone, and they got to finish checks.
Jacques Lemaire used to call those guys that were doing that dirty work plumbers. I don't think these are the same types of plumbers for the Minnesota Wild these days as they were.
The Wild had
back
like 11 plumbers back
2003, then. Exactly. It was a different setup. But not only that, the top 6 was shining brightly. I mean, it was all about Natchez and McKinnon and Landeskog in the first couple of games. Boy, I mean, the top-end talent was on display for the Wild. If you want to talk about Kaprizov with 3 points, Hughes was unbelievable. Zuccarello, doing his type of stuff. Faber was electric, and even Boldy, 5 shots and the empty net goal. The big guns were on display on Game 3 for the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, I talked about this earlier today with Paul Allen, that even Kaprizov individually, I think Kaprizov has been good throughout the playoffs, and a lot of the
leading the NHL in points.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't know it the way some of the fans
talk. A lot of the flack he's taken, I think, has been overdone. That being said, he raised it to another level in Game 3, and he started getting that skating back a little bit, right? I mean, how many times in the past years have we seen Kaprizov, circling in the corners and kind of doing the circle throughout the zone? And we haven't really seen a lot of that from him this year. The guy can shoot as well as anybody. He can get in that one-timer slot, and he'll be in the right spot, and he can battle in the corners. But I just thought his skating was better in that game. And I don't know, maybe he's been hearing all the flack he's been getting and got extra motivated, but he was great. Quinn Hughes is unbelievable. We get wowed by how great he is offensively, and he is on the level. He's played great defensively in the playoffs.
Sure.
He had a moment where he was like, McKinnon was going down the sideboards, and he was 1-on-1. He had to stop with them, come back with them. He was a little leaky defensively at the end of the regular season, and maybe that was just he'd been playing so many games with Team USA, and maybe he just wasn't taking the regular season defensively as seriously, but he's been shut down defensively. He's elite breaking the puck out of the zone. He doesn't make many mistakes, and then offensively walk on that blue line. We saw it again the other night on the 4-on-3 power play.
To me, the Faber goal was the most important goal of the game, but which one was your favorite? The Kaprizov goal where he outweights Wedgwood and takes it upstairs, or the Hughes where he's displaying that skating ability you're talking about, does a little circle in the left side and then comes up to the top of the slot and just unloads a wrister? I mean, I don't know. They're both pretty decent. Which one was your favorite?
Well, selfishly, many people, if anyone's listened to KFAN before, has heard me. I despise when fans yell shoot. It's driven me crazy for years. Like, these are professional hockey players. They have a better angle of what they're supposed to be doing than you are. And on the Hughes goal, he initially starts to pull up, and the crowd goes, shoot! And he didn't. He pulled it back, curled it, waited a little bit longer, cuts it across the slot. And when he got to that spot, nobody yelled shoot, and he scored. I'm like, can we just let Quinn Hughes figure out how to play hockey? We don't need to tell him how to shoot. Selfishly, I felt a little validated there.
Not a lot can do what Quinn Hughes does. So much fun to watch, and definitely that was great on Saturday for game number 3. We've talked about the physicality. We've talked about the stars shining bright. Even the special teams were good. None of that means anything if you don't get goaltending. And the Jesper Wallstedt that we've seen all season long showed up in a big way in game 3. Think about how good he was, especially in that first period. When it's 0-0, stops Parker Kelly on that breakaway, was huge on that penalty kill with 3 big saves there that come to mind. And then he was outstanding the entire 34 saves total for Jesper Wallstedt. One of the big reasons why they came away with the victory.
Wallstedt exudes confidence to me. You can just tell it, right?
He's cocky. He's arrogant.
Sometimes it's hard with goalies to tell whether they're looking confident or not. But like Wallstedt, he's always kind of sent out that vibe, and I think that permeates itself throughout the entire team. The amount of shots that players were getting in front of in that third period there when they were up a couple goals, blocking shots, sacrificing their bodies the last minute or two of the game, doing it for Wallstedt. I thought the biggest probably moment of the game was in the first period where the Wild had been playing great. They were dominating, but hadn't got on the scoreboard yet. It's still a 0-0 game when Kelly comes down on kind of that partial breakaway there out of nowhere, and Wallstedt makes a save. And I think that was like a big exhale for the fans who were ready to go. Other than that, I thought the Wild played so well defensively in front of him that he didn't have to make a lot of huge saves until, definitely the last couple minutes. I mean, it was it was a shooting gallery, and he was terrific. But with some of the goaltending stuff we've had earlier in the series, I thought it was very important for Wallstedt to put his stamp on that game, and not only for that game 3, but for moving forward. That the team in front of him knows, hey, we got ourselves a dog in the net.
Yeah, and as good as Wallstedt was in game 3, Wedgwood was that good in game 2. But Wedgwood gave up 6 goals in game 1. He gets pulled in game 3. All of a sudden, the decision, Wallstedt's starting game 4, and there's no question he's your guy going forward. Got that mental break in game 2.
He's starting game 4 and 5 and 6 100%. And 7. Yeah.
But now there's a little bit of a question mark floating over Wedgwood. What does Bednar do going forward? I assume he comes back with Wedgwood, but I don't know that. I didn't feel comfortable with their goaltending coming into the series, and now maybe they've exposed something with him.
Yeah, all season long, their goaltenders have had phenomenal stats.
But they've had a hell of a team in front of them.
And then they played, not great offensive LA Kings team that didn't have Kevin Fiala in that series. And LA was just playing the entire series, just packing it in. So they didn't put any pressure on Colorado defensively. And that was the thing, even with game 1, as bad as the Wild were defensively, they did get to Wedgwood
and
a little bit.
And it was right there for the taking.
And so you do leave a little bit of doubt in Colorado's heads of, historically, Colorado's always had a great team, and it's if you have goaltending, they can win the cup. But it's always Edmonton's kind of been the same way, even to a more extreme in Edmonton. But to have a little bit of doubt in their mind of, well, is our goalie going to be there for us? And you mentioned he was great in game 2. Game 3, I don't think he was awful, right? I mean, like the one he got pulled on, the Hartman one, he's hitting that out of midair. I don't know what Wedgwood could do about that one. The second one he didn't have a stick, and it's a 4-on-3, and Quinn Hughes is coming across. I mean, that was a pretty good shot. The Kaprizov one, I don't know why it parted like the Red Sea there and just left him all alone. So I don't think Wedgwood was bad. I actually think him getting pulled was more of a we're trying to send a message to the team kind of thing.
Trying to spark them.
And maybe if you're Bednar, you don't want that 3 on Wedgwood to turn into 6 or 7 like it happened to Wallstedt in game 1, and you're avoiding that. I think Wedgwood will start game 4 tonight. But
go ahead.
By the time we're talking, they might have already made that decision.
That's a good point. A couple more for you. Lineup change for the Minnesota Wild. They elevated Damon Hunt. He plays on the second pair with Jared Spurgeon. Thought they were fantastic. What did you think about Damon Hunt? You were questioning going into Game 3, can he handle a larger role, a more magnified number of minutes, and playing on the second pair? I thought he looked great even before Game 3. He didn't do anything to me to take away, and I thought Spurgeon played great as well.
Yeah, you and I, we talked about this on the extended pregame before Game 3. I would make the choice to put Damon Hunt in just because I thought Middleton needed to just get slotted down. He was struggling against the speed of Colorado. Let's reduce his minutes. Let's play him more against bottom six guys. And I thought Middleton played pretty well in Game 3. My concern, as you just mentioned with Damon Hunt, was we've never really seen him in this spot. Yep. And so you never know, kind of like Volstead for Game 1, right? Like the argument against putting Volstead in Game 1 against Dallas was, well, he doesn't have playoff experience. You don't know what he's going to be able to do. Hunt has really never played a top 4 role for us. It's kind of funny to imagine that we traded him away with multiple other picks for Jurček, and now we have him back, and he's in our top 4, and he's kind of become a pivotal part because he is your Brodin replacement. He is the guy in the lineup that is most capable of playing like a Jonas Brodin. Yep. He's left-handed. He's clearly not the biggest, strongest guy in the world, but can skate.
Great skater.
But I said, hey, moving into Game 3, if you're moving into a top 4 role, all of a sudden you're going to be out there against McKinnon and Natchez and those types of speedy players, and we'll see how you react to that as opposed to playing against some of their bottom 6 forwards. I thought he was terrific. Yeah. Really mistake-free, other than pushing a guy into our own goalie on the first goal. Right. Other than that, though, was he turning pucks over? No. Was he getting beat in one-on-one situations? No. I thought he was terrific, and if you can get that out of Damon Hunt the rest of the series, we got ourselves a chance.
Yep. And then put Middleton on the third pair with Zach Bogosian. Off you go. Last one for you. The atmosphere I thought was unbelievable. I didn't realize how good the atmosphere was outside the building until after it had happened. Just because I was concentrating on what's going on. We're doing the extended pregame. There's so many moving parts going into game number 3. The atmosphere they had on Kellogg and West 7th looked like it was a party and a half. How much fun was it to be in that building for game 3? I don't know what to expect for game 4. I think the fans are going to bring it with an opportunity to tie the series. But what did you think being inside that building?
Yeah, I heard LaPanta and Russo talking about this on their podcast, how the vibe from the fans has just been different in this playoff run, right? I mean, you and I, we've experienced a lot of wild playoff games, and they're always have. When you are one and done as often as they are, sometimes it's waiting for the other shoe to drop. You can feel the tension. It's people yelling shoot on the power play because they're not confident you can do it yourself, right? Yeah. Like you get in power play situations and it's just the Wild fans waiting for it to go wrong. And I felt like even though we're down 2-0 in this series, it was just a different vibe in Game 3 of, no, we believe in this team. This team is different than previous Wild teams, and they are.
Yep.
They have more star power. They can play with Colorado, and they were nonstop loud. And obviously the way the Wild played, I think, helped a lot too. The Wild were good from the first drop of the puck.
Yep.
There was never really a lull. There was never really a spot in that game other than that Kelly breakaway where you go, we're going to win. We thought we were going to win the game the whole time. So that helped because the Wild played well in front of them. But yeah, the fans were great. It was can't wait for tonight.
Real quick then, last thing, and I'll get you out the door so you can go watch game number 4. What are you expecting tonight? I mean, the Wild fired a bullet in game 3. I can't imagine the Avalanche are going to go quietly. This will probably be their best game of the series.
I've experienced a lot of playoff series. I feel like whenever I've seen this script before, right, where Wild kind of get blown out in game 1, they're down 2-0, and then the Wild kind of take it to Colorado in game 4. To me, this game 4 is always the super close one.
Yeah.
It's the tightest checking one. It's going to be the one that's hardest to score goals in, and it's the one that's going to go to overtime. And then you get to overtime, and it's going to be a coin flip, and that goal in overtime will determine the fate of the entire series.
Oh, boy.
And we saw it against Dallas, right? It was Matt Boldy scoring to even the series up in that moment. To me, this one's going to be the hardest game to score in. It's going to be tight.
Yeah.
It's going to be checking. There's not going to be as much space as maybe we've seen in the first 3 games, and I think it's going to overtime.
There it is. That's the prediction from Brandon Mileski. We'll break, and then we'll find out the predictions from Tom Reed, Joe O'Donnell, and more. Again, the puck drop coming up at 7:10 in the Central Time Zone. Game 4 from Grand Casino Arena. We'll break, and then we'll have more pregame fun coming your way from St. Paul. You're listening to KFAN.